The global housing market is broken. From Toronto to Sydney, the dream of homeownership is collapsing under the weight of historic labor shortages and skyrocketing material costs. We are facing a crisis of afford that threatens the stability of the middle class in the developed world. But while the West struggles to hammer nails, a massive shift is occurring in the East. A silent revolution is sweeping through the construction industry, effectively turning the Made in China label from the back of your iPhone to the very walls you sleep within. Property developers are bypassing local crews and turning to Chinese megafactories to slash costs by nearly 75%. This isn't just about cheap labor anymore. It's about advanced automation versus traditional stick-built inefficiency. We are witnessing the industrialization of the American and European home, outsourced to the world's factory. But what happens when a strategic rival builds the infrastructure of your daily life? Make sure to subscribe, because today we are deconstructing the supply chain. The great exodus. To understand why developers are looking to China, we first have to understand why the West stopped building. The root cause traces back to the 2008 financial crisis. When the housing bubble burst, construction ground to a halt. Millions of carpenters, electricians, and plumbers were laid off. Here is the critical data point. Those workers never came back. They moved into energy, logistics, or retired. Furthermore, for the last 2 decades, Western educational systems have pushed university degrees over trade schools. We created a generation of digital natives in a world that still needs physical infrastructure. Today, for every 5 master tradesmen retiring in the US, only 1 apprentice replaces them. The result is a bidding war for labor that drives project timelines into chaos. A simple framing job that took 2 weeks in 1990 now takes 2 months. The West hasn't just lost the ability to build cheaply in many regions. The MIC revolution. While the West faced a labor drain, China faced a surplus of industrial capacity. Leveraging their dominance in steel and cement, they adopted a methodology known as MIC Modular Integrated Construction. Forget the flimsy prefab homes of the 20th century. This is aerospace-grade engineering applied to architecture. Inside massive hangars in Guangdong, robots utilize BIM building information modeling to slice a building into digital blocks. These factories don't just build shells. They install the plumbing, the electrical wiring, the insulation, and even the final finishes like tiling and cabinetry. It is a controlled environment. There is no rain to warp the wood, no mud to slow down the trucks. Precision is measured in millimeters, not inches. What takes a Western crew 6 months to build in the mud? The economic mud skeptics might point to logistics. How can shipping a 30-ton concrete module across the Pacific Ocean possibly be cheaper than pouring concrete locally? The answer lies in the sheer disparity of labor costs and material control. Shipping is surprisingly efficient. A standard container ship can carry the equivalent of entire neighborhoods. But the real savings come from the supply chain. China controls the production of the steel, the glass, the PVC, and the solar panels. When a Western builder buys windows, they pay retail prices heavily marked up by middlemen. Chinese factories source these raw materials at domestic wholesale rates. When you do the math, the cost of shipping is a rounding error compared to the savings on wages, insurance, and material markups. It is an arbitrage of efficiency that Western developers, the Trojan horse. However, there is a layer to this story that goes beyond bricks and mortar. We are entering the era of the smart home. Modern housing is increasingly embedded with sensors, smart thermostats, and security systems. If the West imports its housing infrastructure from a geopolitical rival, we must ask, what is PRE installed in the walls? Just as we saw with the debate over Huawei and 5G networks, outsourcing the physical shell of our private lives introduces a new vector of vulnerability. Furthermore, relying on China for housing creates a leverage trap. If diplomatic tensions rise, or if a trade war erupts, Beijing could effectively choke the supply of new homes to the West, turning a social crisis into a geopolitical weapon. We are trading long-term sovereignty for short-term afford. The trend is clear. As Western populations age and industrial capacity dwindles, the gravity of the construction world is shifting east. We are moving towards a future where buying a house is no different than ordering a laptop designed in California, perhaps, but assembled in Guangdong. The question remains, will Western nations invest the trillions needed to rebuild their own industrial capacity and train a new generation of builders? Or will our cities become the next major subscription service provided by the world's factory? The global map is being redrawn, one module at a time. If you want to understand the hidden mechanics shifting the world economy, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next report.